Hey everybody, this is my new series, That's WAC. I am going to be going over the Washington Administrative Code, particularly the section that pertains to early child care centers. And that code is called WAC 110-300. I am going over this because these are the things that early child care providers are required to follow in the state of Washington. And I get a lot of pushback from teachers, but specifically parents on not wanting to do certain things. I'm like, well, it's the law. We kind of have to do it. So, so anyway, so this series is going to be going over parts of it. We're not going to be going in order. So it's up on the website. I will put the website in the description later when I'm done. But for now, let's go ahead and I'm going to find one to read real quick. These aren't going to be very long videos. So let me find one real quick. There's the website. Let's go to, what's a good one? What's a good I feel like doing like sleep and rest would be a good one. So we're going to go over WAC 110-300-0265 under the sleep and rest and equipment. So this has a 10, well, a little bit more than 10, but 10 points. One, an early learning provider must offer a supervised daily rest period for children preschool age and younger who remain in care more than 6 hours a day or who show a need for rest. So this is a quiet time. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to sleep, is essentially what it says. It just needs to be a rest period where they can just chill out, relax. They must provide quiet activities for children who do not require a rest. Quiet activities must be minimally disruptive to sleeping children. So again, they don't have to rest. Those that do need a nap, they can take a nap. Those that don't can play quietly with something. A learning provider must communicate a child's sleep needs and patterns with the parent or guardian. So you should be writing down sleep times and wake up times if they, woke up during the middle of a nap. This is something I see a lot of lately, a lot of teachers not doing is not writing down when children go to sleep and when they wake up, which you should be doing so that parents can see that. And providers must not place children directly on the floor to rest or sleep. They had to be sleeping on something. So whether that's a cot, whether that's a mat, a pillow, something, they had to be sleeping on something, not on the floor, which again, I've seen. For children not using cribs or playpens, an early learning provider must provide developmentally appropriate mats, cots, or other sleep equipment made of water-resistant material that can be cleaned and sanitized. Mats and cots and other sleeping equipment used in the program must be in good condition, have no tears or holes, and have no repairs with tape. That's a big one. I see a lot with either tears or holes or with the tape. So they've got to be in good condition. They've got to be clean and sanitized and air dried at least once per week or more often as needed if used only by one child. So if one child is using the same mat, you can put, a sheet cover on it, any type of sheet on it, and they can use it all week. And then on Friday, you take that off and you sanitize it. However, if more than one child is using the same mat, it has to be cleaned after each use. So if you're not assigning them to a mat, then and you're just randomly taking one and putting it on the ground and whoever can sleep there, after every nap time, you have to take that sheet cover off, wash the sheet cover, and sanitize the mat, which is more work, which is why I suggest that you put a name on it somehow so that you only have to do it once. They also need to be stored so sleeping surfaces are not touching each other unless clean and sanitized after each use. So again, like they they can't be touching each other if random children are just using them unless you sanitize them. So I guess you could not clean them after each one, but then they couldn't touch each other. And if you got the hanging ones, That's a problem because they're going to touch each other. If you have the ones that stack, that's a little bit easier. So you could use those. They need to be stored so sleeping surfaces are not touching it. Oh, I already read that one. Floor mats designed for sleeping and mattresses must be at least 1 inch thick. That's another one that people miss. Floor mats must be spaced apart from other floor mats, cots, and mattresses to reduce exposure and allow early learning providers access to each child during sleep time as follows. There must be at least 18 inches on each side between each floor mat, cot, or mattress. So this is something that drives me nuts, and it's something I correct teachers on all the time. The mats can't be so close that they could reach a finger out and touch their friend. They need to be separated. A lot of the times they just put them right next to each other, and as they're sleeping, they toss and turn, and now that child's blanket is touching another child, and they had lice, and so now child has lice, things like that, or they had a cold and they sneezed on their blanket, now their blanket's on their friend's mat, and they, accidentally got it on their face, and now, it's just a whole mess. So spread them out. It's very tempting. A lot of providers just want to put them in one area, all close to each other. Don't do that. Spread them out. You got usually a pretty big classroom to do that. And if the classroom's too small, that's when you work with your supervisor. And then they also must be arranged so that children are head to toe or toe to toe, not head to head. And each child's bedding must have a clean sheet or blanket to cover the sleeping surface and a clean blanket so the child, it's comfortable for them at the room temperature and stuff. Their sheets must be laundered weekly or more often as soiled, and laundry daily if used more by more than one child. So again, if you're doing it randomly, it needs to be washed every day. But if it's the same kid, you can wash it once a week. Or, if they have an accident, you'll wash it more often. Or if they like drool all over it, you'll wash it more often. And then be stored separately from bedding used by another child unless it's cleaned and sanitized after each use again. And then they must not allow children less than 6 years of age to use loft style beds or upper bunks or bunk beds. I've never been at a place that used a bunk bed, so I don't know why that's in there. I guess some places do, but I've never ever worked at one. But yeah, that is WAC 110-300-0265. And that is what you're supposed to be doing when you put children to bed. So the more you know, and I'll be doing more of these videos. They'll be coming out every Wednesday. So keep a lookout if you want to learn more about what your child care provider should be doing and what you as a parent should expect. So bye.